A Quiet Place topped the box office over the weekend. It opened with an estimated $50 million in ticket sales, and that's around $20 million more than analysts projected.
And just think they had a budget north of $17 million. So already this is a hit. The horror movie is set in a post-apocalyptic world where mysterious creatures with advanced hearing hunt humans. They are blind and can only find their prey by sound. The movie contains very little dialogue between the characters. Heart is beating. John Krasinski is not only one of the stars, he's a writer and director of A Quiet Place. John, good morning. But John Dickerson, what do you want to say?
I just want us all to be quiet, because if we're not quiet, something very bad is going to happen.
It is very bad.
I know.
You just gave my best review, which is, oh no.
I know.
Oh, no.
That's the thing, because this is the thing, John Krasinski. I was getting my nails done the other day. Total stranger. I go, can I recommend a movie to you? I was at a luncheon, group full of women. I go, excuse me, could I have the table's attention for a second? There's a movie you must go see.
I'm bringing you everywhere.
Yes, I will go with you everywhere. And the reason why I love this movie so much, because I hate horror movies.
Me too. Well, I did.
You do
now
too?
I love them. I love them.
I don't like horror movies. I don't like being afraid.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that you all do in this movie, that's total silence for most of the movie. So how does somebody who hates horror movies do that?
It's really interesting. Believe it or not, I was offered this as an actor first.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And I said, you know what, I don't do horror movies, no thanks. And they said, you should just read it. It's about a family who can't make noise, and you have to figure out why. And I went, well, that's the best one-liner I've ever heard. And I read it, and truly, as I'm reading the script, I'm holding a 3-week-old infant. We had just had our second daughter 3 weeks before reading the script. And so, yes, it's scary, and I love that people think it's scary. But for me, I was reading a script about a father doing anything he can to protect his kids while I was holding a 3-week-old. So it was so, listen, I cry at anything already, but I was so emotionally connected to this idea. So when I rewrote the script, I just buried down into that idea of
So
family.
when you wrote it, did you have Emily Blunt in mind?
I had only Emily Blunt in mind.
Okay.
And turns out I am not as confident as I thought, because I just wouldn't ask her.
What do you mean?
The two ways this went in my head were she says no, and that's a super awkward dinner conversation. Or she says, and way worse, she says, yes, I'll do it for you. And the truth is, I've been witness to the incredible taste level, intelligence, and dedication she has in choosing projects. And so I couldn't live with myself if she did this as a favor to me. And so I didn't ask her to do it. And she actually recommended some other friends to do the part. And then one day she said, can I read the script? I said, sure. And she got to the end of it. We were on a plane. And I thought she was going to throw up, so I was reaching for a barf bag. And she said, you can't let anyone else do this role. And it was like she was proposing to me. I said, are you saying what I think you're saying? It was fantastic.
So then how did it turn out in reality, working together?
It's funny, we were really nervous, because I think because people think we're actors, we have the same experiences. We don't. You know, she's usually in a different country with a different director and a different crew. And so we've never actually been on set together other than popping in for an hour or so. So what happened was I said we should treat this project like we treat our marriage. Let's just be honest about everything right now. Is there anything in the script you want to talk about? Is there anything in these shot lists that I made for her? Is there anything you want to talk about? So by the time we got to working together, we were just right in it. And I will say, as nervous as I was, it was the greatest experience of my career. Wow. I will never work with someone as talented, as professional, and as unbelievably enthusiastic as her.
Wow.
See, doesn't that make you want to go?
I know.
Well, it also makes me want to have dinner with them, but that's a whole separate thing. Let me ask you this, John.
The answer is yes.
Oh, great. Okay, good. We'll get you my calendar. So there are movies that wash over you, and then there are movies that make you take on the behavior of the people in the movie, which you have done here.
Yes.
How intentional was that? And how did you work at that?
We definitely knew that sound would be a huge character in this movie, and we thought that it would be an experience for people, and we were really excited about that. I think that you never know until you put it in front of a live audience. When we went to South by Southwest, I kid you not, I was cutting sound and picture probably 24 hours before we went to that film festival. So I was in this audience as scared as I've ever been in my career. And to hear people start to gasp, and then hear people stop eating their popcorn, and all of a sudden people just start putting their concessions down and just staring, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my career. And the night before, Emily said, what's the one thing would be great about this screening? And I said, you know what, if they cheered at the end, that would be great. She said, focus on one thing, not the whole thing, because you'll get overwhelmed.
Love Emily.
And she's the best.
Yeah.
And at the end, they jumped out of their seats and screamed so loud that Emily had to yell, oh my. And I'll never forget it.
There's a scene in the movie where you and Emily, you're listening to music together, so they have their headphones. You have one, you have one. And it's one of the most sweetest, tender things I've ever seen.
Thank you.
I was a little irritated because she got pregnant in the movie, but that's a whole other thing. But that scene where you all are dancing together, tell me about that. Because how do you keep a baby, if the baby's born, how do you keep the baby quiet? So I was irritated about that, but go ahead.
When a
that
man
scene
loves
there,
a woman, and
yes.
no, I'm kidding. It was one of my favorite scenes to shoot and to be a part of, but I gotta say I was completely overwhelmed in the moment, because when you're directing and acting in it, there's a lot of jobs, obviously. And we jumped into that. We had the music live, which I learned from the great Cameron Crowe. Play the music live so that everybody hears it. And so the crew was hearing it too. And there's this moment where we're dancing. You can't make sound, but because it's in our ear, we can hear it. So we allow the audience to hear it. And it was just me staring into my wife's eyes. It was beautiful. And I looked over and we called cut. And crew members were crying. And they just said that was one of the most pure marriage moments. I have to go call my wife. And I walked off set.
No, it'll make you cry, it'll make you cheer. And I love Stephen King, terrific acting, but the main thing is the silence and how it makes the camera's eye open wide, and in a way few movies manage. Stephen King said you did a good job, John Krasinski.
Come on. Doesn't get better than that. I gotta say, Gayle King, Stephen King, both good. Yeah, come on.
2 thumbs up from Gayle King and Stephen King.
The Kings.
The
You
King.
got the rare King bookends.
Well, let me tell you, word of mouth, this movie's going places.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
This is great.
A Quiet Place is in theaters right now, and you can hear more of CBS This Morning on our podcast and iTunes app. Elizabeth Smart This Morning.